So obviously the World Cup mode for FIFA 18 came out last Tuesday, so it's been out for about near enough a week now. Um, and I feel like that's enough time to really play it enough to form a good opinion on it. Having played it a few times now, I've gone through like the Ultimate Team obviously, and I've played a couple of the obviously the tournament modes, both normal and custom. I feel like I'm now at a position where I can rightfully say my sort of opinion on it. And ultimately, it's not a very positive opinion. I'm as a career mode person, or an offline person, I suppose you could say. It's unsurprising that I was a massive fan of the World Cup games. I am 2006, 2010, and 2014. I loved them. I really did. I got really into them. Bought all of them pretty much as on day one. I loved playing them. Well, I got 2010 and 2014 on day one from my love of 2006 game, and I just loved playing through it. I loved the whole sort of the whole journey of the World Cup. Essentially, you could start off at the start of qualifying for one of 200 nations. You could start off as Brazil, as Germany, as England, or you could go as, San Marino, Gibraltar, various teams, anyone. And I loved that mode. I loved it to bits. I loved playing it constantly when the game came out. And it always used to get me really hyped for World Cups. So initially, when obviously the news came out that, or the leaks came out originally, and then obviously the official announcement that the World Cup game essentially for this year isn't a thing, it's going to be a free add-on, I was disappointed, first of all, because like I say, I liked the games. Obviously from a marketing point of view, they probably don't sell as well as normal games, as well as the fact they don't have Ultimate Team on those games. There's no way for microtransactions to be a thing, and that's where EA make a lot of their money. They care a lot more about Ultimate Team, and I'll get into that a bit later. So from a financial point of view, to do a free update, and when the news comes out that they're doing a free update, obviously they get positive press because this is going to be free, and EA don't do free stuff that often. But I was very, very sceptical as well, simply because I felt like they weren't going to do much. And sadly, my sort of original beliefs did come to fruition. It's as the title suggests, it's lackluster and lazy, in my opinion. Obviously, for a basis, all we got Ultimate Team, we got a variation of Ultimate Team, which again I'll go into more detail in later. And we got the tournament. We got the 32 teams in a tournament. You can play as, and I think there's about a dozen or so other teams that didn't make it that you can add into it. But other than that, it's the 32 teams and it's the straight tournament. That's it. It's basically the free add-on we got on FIFA 14 4 years ago, as well as the main game. And it's just not enough. It's really not enough. I know for one thing it's free. So the fact is, it's probably unrealistic to expect much, but you could certainly expect more than what they delivered. The main mode on it, obviously, is the Ultimate Team. That's the mode they focus on. The reason why they probably did this free update was simply because they could use their cash cow. They could use Ultimate Team the way they've always done, in terms of taking in lots of money through microtransactions and things like that. But the Ultimate Team's not even that good. It really isn't that good. First of all, it's incredibly easy to get a good team. Everyone's starter packs were good. I don't think anyone got that ripped off in a starter pack. And it really didn't take too many packs to get a good team. It really doesn't. And then when you've got the team, ultimately all it is a World Cup tournament. You either play it online or you play it on single player. You got squad battles, okay, fair enough. But even in that, there's really not much replayability. I mean, you can be playing it for a few days, maybe at a stretch 2 weeks. But it's not going to last. It's not going to keep you into it. It's easy to build a good team, and then there's not much to do with said good team. So for one thing, the main mode on of the World Cup update is still fairly lacking. And then obviously there's the rest of us offline players or fans of the offline modes who, to be fair, are kind of used to being screwed about with now by EA. Career mode hasn't had many good updates in the last sort of 5 or 6 years. Pro clubs has been even worse. It's just been left. I mean, pro clubs people are not going to touch this at all. Anyone who's fans of pro clubs, I mean, again, they're most used to being screwed over, but they're not going to touch this update. They've got no reason to. At least, I suppose, for career mode people, you do have the World Cup mode, and we do have an interest in that. But again, you're going to play through it maybe once or twice, maybe one custom tournament, but that's not going to take very long. It's 7 matches at most, and again, it just won't stay relevant. It really won't. And it's kind of a summary of what EA Sports have been doing with FIFA for years now. It's been lacklustre and it's been lazy. There's been a few little good things in there, but ultimately they've just not bothered that much. FIFA in general in the last few years has been very much, Ultimate Team makes all the money, that's what we care about. And even Ultimate Team hasn't really changed too much. Squad Battles was a good change, I'll give them that. As someone that doesn't play Ultimate Team that often, I can't remember if that was implemented this year or last year, but that was good. But they just don't, I don't think they really try that hard. I think they're quite happy just sticking with the same formula because they know that's going to get them money, which is a shame. And it's a shame they couldn't justify how brilliant the World Cup is and show how good the World Cup is in this mode. They have the license to the biggest tournament in world football, the most entertaining, the tournament that brings sports fans in general across the world sort of into one place. They have the license to that. They have the license to one of the biggest sporting event in the world, and they're just not doing it justice. They're really not. And it comes into you got to think, based on rumour, the Champions League and the Europa League are going to be on FIFA. They're going to have official license to the Champions League, the biggest domestic tournament in the world. But it doesn't fill me much confidence that they can, again, do that justice if they can't do the World Cup justice. And that really, if anything, this mode just reminds me of why I'm slightly miffed and annoyed by FIFA and EA Sports, and that's all it really serves to me as. It is it's lacking. And something else they could have done with this mode, they didn't do anything to the main game at all. For example, international teams have all the kits are on there. Why not update the kits in the normal game? Why not just do that? I know that's a small thing, and I know a lot of people say that doesn't matter overly, but it's just a small detail that people like me notice, and I just want to point out. Get Tim Cahill there. Oh, what a player. Anyway, getting distracted. I just feel like things like that, they're small things, but they would be appreciated, at least I would appreciate them, and people would notice. Stadiums, the 8 stadiums, can't touch them in the normal game. You can't, not even in kickoff, you can't play as them in normal kickoff mode. And it's small things like that show they're lazy to me, at least. It makes me think they're lazy. Career mode, didn't get anything. The World Cup in career mode could have benefited from this. Would have been a small thing, but they could have done it. And they could have at least added something that I feel like they could at least done a Pro Clubs thing for it as well. Again, Pro Clubs is the least touched thing in any game I can think of. It's been a mode for years, but it's just not. They don't bother with it. They just don't do anything with it. I don't understand. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts and feelings of it. I'll play it for. I imagine I'll be into it for a few more days. There are a few more things I want to do with it, but other than that, I don't think I'll touch it again. And for me, this reinforces that the World Cup has to have its own game. It just has to, or it has to be a more substantial DLC. Maybe like a £20 add-on or something. Just at least, I mean, £20 might be steep. I don't know, but it's got to have the full qualifying campaign. It's got to have all 200 nations, or all 200 odd nations. It should have a Pro Clubs mode. It should have things like Club Captain Your Country. That used to be a feature. It could, Ultimate Team could be on there as well. I don't understand. They could still make money. I just don't understand it. Anyway, that pretty much wraps up everything I want to say on it. Like I say, I think it's a bit of a disappointment, which pretty much sums up FIFA as a game series for the last sort of 6 years now, for the most part anyway. But be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do you disagree? Do you want to stick up for the mode? Be sure to. We all have our own opinions, so it's cool. Be sure to like and get your words out, Connor. Like and subscribe for more FIFA in the future. And yeah, thanks for watching, and goodbye.